Hello, I'm Dennis Banning. I'm an attorney with New Mexico Financial and Family Law here in Albuquerque, New Mexico, and I'm here to discuss the topic of how bankruptcy laws can help you manage a job loss that's been caused by the government's reaction to COVID-19 or the coronavirus. Now, I've been a practicing bankruptcy attorney for approximately 20 years, and I've received the highest peer rating, the AV preeminent rating, from Martindale Hubbell, which is an independent ratings organization. Now, many people in the hospitality and retail industries have lost their jobs due to the social distancing requirements that are currently in place in the United States and also here in New Mexico. And as a lawyer who practices in the area of bankruptcy law, I have seen daily the financial devastation that job loss can cause to a family. Based on what we know now, I do have some practical advice for people who have been displaced due to these social distancing regulations, which have in effect closed many businesses and put a lot of people out of work. First, do not drain your retirement accounts or take out a home equity loan to get you through this time. In most states, and in New Mexico in particular, there are generous exemptions for people to be able to protect their equity in a home. New Mexico law, for example, allows an individual to protect $60,000 of equity in a home. Married couples can protect up to $120,000 equity in a home. And the equity that you have in your house is just the difference between what the house is worth and what you owe on the mortgage for the house. And even if you've got a little more than $60,000 equity or a little more than $120,000, depending on how much over those figures you are, I've seen individuals in excess of those amounts be able to protect equity in their home. Now, regarding retirement accounts, if you have a 401k, an IRA, a para retirement, under New Mexico law, those retirement accounts have an unlimited exemption, and creditors cannot reach those accounts. So if you shouldn't take out a home equity loan and you shouldn't drain your retirement savings, what options do you have during this time? Well, you may not have a choice but to live off of your credit cards. Now, that's generally not a good idea to try to live on your credit cards, but it could be not only the only option, but it could be the best option that would actually protect you and your family during this time. Now, this COVID-19 crisis should be over in a few months, and there's expected to be, once everything settles down, a kind of pent-up need for the return of hospitality and retail services. When the restaurants, bars, hotels, and malls open back up, people are going to want to get back out and get back to living life again. So when this all dies down and the dust settles, you should see if you can easily pay back the debt that you've incurred during this social distancing period. You should never incur debt if you have absolutely no intention of repaying it. But at the same time, your credit cards are there to help you bridge the gap in circumstances just like this. Now, I advise all of my clients that are considering bankruptcy, in particular Chapter 7 bankruptcy, to look at the debt that you have. If you can pay off that debt in 2 years or less, even if that means settling with some of your creditors, then look into that. If, however, it's more likely that 2 years down the road you will have done nothing but tread water and make the minimum payments, then file a Chapter 7 if you can qualify. You could be debt-free within 100 days in a relatively pain-free process. Bankruptcy is predictable, it's relatively inexpensive for the benefits that are obtained by filing, and Chapter 7 is fast for those who qualify. It's important to remember also that a bankruptcy discharge of debt is not taxable income to you. Now, many people are under the misconception that bankruptcy is a kind of scarlet letter that will forever ruin their credit, or at least do major harm to their credit for a long period of time. And that's simply not true. We counsel people on how to improve their credit after a bankruptcy filing, And in most cases, if people do everything right, they can have good enough credit, they can have recovered enough to buy a home or get a good interest rate on a vehicle within 2 years after their discharge. There's a link below. Click that link to learn about FHA requirements for obtaining a home after bankruptcy and what you need to do. And if you have questions, call New Mexico Financial Law, 505-503-1637, and set up a consultation with an attorney.